What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Light back here with another video. And anyway, in today's video, we're going to be doing the problems with Spider-Man Far From Home. So yeah, I'm continuing the series of the problems with series here. And in today's case, we got Spider-Man Far From Home. I just want to say this first of all, this is not a review. I am not reviewing the movie. This is more so just picking the problems that I've seen with the movie, slash what I think people drive people to dislike this movie and stuff like that. Again, not a review. Personally, I do enjoy this movie and everything. I'm not saying it's a bad movie or something like that. I'm doing all these different movies and stuff like that, and in no way am I saying, oh, this movie's terrible or something. I'm just picking out some of the flaws. It's a bit like a critique, a little bit, on just basically thinking of all these reasons and stuff in case somebody wants to know why, or wants to know what are some things of that and stuff like that. Like personally, the way I like to think of things and stuff when other people disagree with me or something in terms of liking a movie or not. I like to see like the different critiques they have with it. Uh, but anyways, let's get into it. So, firstly, I want to say the first problem I see like most people have with this movie is the fact that it's not set in New York. Uh, and this is strictly mainly for more comic book fans ish, not for the more casual fans. Even though casual fans may still have a problem with it, but like for example, comic book fans they would argue like for example, Spider Man is usually one of those heroes you always see in a certain place, which is like New York. 95% of the time, you always see. I've have yet to ever see him really in any other country really being Spider-Man other than New York. I mean, any other even city too, other than New York City or New York. So that's just one thing right off the bat. Like you notice, like a lot of people might not like that. Again, because it's set in Europe and like all the movie, like the boss battles and everything, take place on Europe as like he's going on some kind of world tour and stuff like that. And a lot of people think that Spider-Man should always in New York City or in some borough like Queens or something in New York City or whatever. So that's one thing as well that a lot of people kind of disliked, and it kind of I understand why, because it kind of took a little it took a little bit away from Homecoming a little bit, because it dialed down some of these characters. For example, like Aunt May's character and everything, because again she was in New York during this time. Uh, so that's another thing too. Like it dialed down some of the characters and stuff. Uh, just from like some of the characters from the initial movie. So that's something else as well. That I'm seeing as well. Is it's like not set in New York and stuff like that. And I completely understand that. At first I was like, I wonder how this is gonna work. And I mean, it was alright. I mean, I like the. It kind of felt like a little fresh take on Spider Man, which I'm not totally opposed to and everything. So I didn't have a huge problem with that, but I could see why a lot of people had a problem with that. Uh, Another thing is just like more of a reason between the two Homecoming and Far From Home is this movie is more of a coming of age movie. Tom Holland Spider Man is more of like a coming of age character. That's one thing. It's very reminiscent of like a 1980s high school movie, which a lot of people have noticed and not a lot of people are a fan of. Like personally, I like it. Again, it's a fresh take on Spider Man, so I'm not entirely opposed to it. But I mean, again, like a lot of people do this as they relate to like Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, and stuff like that. Is they put like these characters are much older and stuff like that. And again, in the comics and stuff, Spider Man is not a high school kid for most of the time. Most of the time, he's in like college or something, or he's past college, or he's in his 20s. Whereas in like this movie, for example, he's in high school and it's more of like he's coming of age a little bit here. So I mean, it's not even that bad. I think it's pretty interesting. Again, a fresh take, and I understand why Disney does it this way too. It's not like I'm not. Technically, it's not even Disney. It's Sony too, and John Watts a little bit. I understand why they do this, just because it kind of widens the range to more. of a different audience, as this like a lot of high school kids can definitely relate a little bit to what some of the stuff that's going around and stuff like that. Uh, Definitely it could be relatable to those type of demographic. Same reason with like the Tobey Maguire trilogy and Andrew Garfield the whole Spider-Man movies. So yeah. Uh, Another thing too is people dislike the villain. Now, first of all, let me give you the reason probably people dislike him. It's just Mysterio is people say Mysterio is more of like he more morally despises kind of Tony Stark in that whole Tony Stark thing, and Spider Man. Mysterio's always been a Spider Man villain and always will be. Where he does fight like other members like the Avengers and stuff like that, but I mean he's more or less usually fighting Spider Man, and he's a Spider Man villain. And a lot of people disagree that like they shouldn't have made Mysterio such a like he like more of like an Iron Man villain, and that is actually a valid reason. I understand that, but I mean honestly, personally to me, that's not a huge problem. Just seeing as though I could sense down the line, Mysterio's gonna hate Spider-Man way more. I could definitely sense it. It was even the same with the Vulture, for example. It's like for example, the Vulture hated Tony Stark more than he did again Iron Spider Man, but by the end of the movie, he kind of despised Spider Man a little bit more and stuff like that. So that was one thing else uh, that could be very interesting and everything like that. Uh, another reasoning is probably people. It's just like a broader thing. It's they could have made this movie anyway. Anyway, it could have been like a best movie ever. Like it could be like Infinity War type, and people still hate on it just for the valid reason that it's not even a valid reason, but just for the reason that they're not a fan of Tom Holland. And I mean, it's all right not to be a fan and everything, but I mean, it kind of sucks that people don't give it a chance. Just seeing that like they want to see Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield all the time, which I understand. I mean, people like those two actors as Spider Man, but at the same time, like personally, I give a chance to Tom Holland and everything. At first, I'll be honest with you guys, I didn't really like Tom Holland too much, but it's kind of grown on to me and stuff like that. And that's all because of choosing like to watch the movies and everything, and just watching with an open mind. So that's something else. Tom Holland. People don't like Tom Holland, which could be an understandable thing, but I mean, at the same time, it's kind of like yeah, it kind of sucks a little bit. But anyways, next reason is this is more of like a casual fan kind of thing. It's not really too much about uh a casual fan type thing, and it's not too much about comic book fans. Is the fact that Mysterio is very hard to understand in the movie. I can't even lie. I had to watch the movie a little bit to understand, but like I've seen him in the comics and TV shows and everything, and I understood his powers and everything. I know he was like master of optical illusions and everything, but at the same time, it was kind of difficult to understand at certain points because again, the writing was a bit sloppy in this. I can't even lie. Uh, it was a little hard to understand Mysterio and stuff like that. I mean, motives and stuff was clear, but I mean, how he actually did all this stuff is kind of like a little bit hard to understand. Like you have to understand he's using drones. Uh, Nothing really he does is real. Like another thing that just still kind of puzzles me a little bit is the fact when is how he's speaking to Peter with like no mask and stuff like that. I find it a little weird. Like is like someone watching him and then he's telling them like go up or whatever. So that's one thing I I find a little hard to understand. But I mean I kind of understand it now. It's better. So yeah. Anyways, it took me like a good like 10 rewatches to fully understand everything. So that's another thing. I mean, I know people don't dislike the movie for that, but they more dislike Mysterio, which leads them to me disliking this whole movie as a whole. So that's another thing as well. Uh, but anyways, if you anybody knows another reason or there's a reason for them not liking it or whatever, definitely drop it in the comment section down below. But anyways, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next video. Peace.